All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another Sooky MMA and Standemup breakdown for UFC Abu Dhabi, which, I mean, I feel like I take for granted getting to watch fights at night, but I'm like upset I have to watch them during the day. But I'm complaining about that with you, which is wild.
It is wild. It is insane that you're even bringing this up. I'm really upset with you right now, right here. I am so happy, guys. It's finally after the absolute disaster of last week, with it still being on the US time. We have finally a normal time card. It starts at 6 for me, so it's perfect. Perfect.
I'm happy that you guys get a little something, but I gotta sit here empty. But guess what? For American fans, you get the Terrence Crawford fight, so they're always looking out. That's this weekend, I think. I hope it is. That's what I was looking forward to after this card. Let's hope it is. But let's talk about some of our performances from a massive UFC 304 card where Bilal, I mean, said it on the show, right? The line was wide just based on the amount of paths to victory. Couldn't really take anything on Liam, but he was my pick. He was your pick, but hopefully you laid Bilal because he did it, man. Great line and what a performance.
I did not lay Bilal, I can tell you that.
Okay. He didn't listen to me, folks. So let's talk about how we did last week. Biggest letdown probably in the betting world was Lawford. We had him parlayed with Allen for minus 112, probably on average. That didn't come through at all. But we do sit at 1-1 with the parlays because one of ours was voided 2 weeks ago. Lock of the week. Lawford again. So we go down with Lawford sinking ship, folks. But where can we give Standemup some credit, folks? Dog of the week. I rode with him based on confidence, and that's the victory. Like I said, I mean, if the number's good, I'm down for it. And Rodriguez comes to it an easy plus 100, probably looking like a minus 170, minus 180, if anything.
He looked minus 500 in there, bro. He dominated DLC. He had nothing to say there.
He thinks he can rile me up, but I could rile him up just as easily, bro.
Hey, listen. I want to say one thing, though. I predicted Mokaev versus Cobb so good. Perfect prediction. So I'm
Did
happy
it come with a broken toe and a shorts pull?
Yeah, but Mokaev was told not to wrestle. So
Oh, you're running with that. You running with that. Okay, okay, folks. Standemup is running with that. Told by the brass not to wrestle in that fight. He tried though. And you know what? Defensively, at least avoided some of the bigger shots. He tried his best. But you don't need to be talking about him anymore, at least for now.
Not in the UFC, at least. So it is what this. Yeah, let's just start with a parlay. Start with your piece, and I'll let you know mine.
All right, so we decided to go with a fighter that I'm very confident in for this weekend, and a fighter that Emil is very confident going with this weekend. So we got Guram and Bullet. So we'll get into these fighters a little later, but you can get Guram and Bullet right now for, on average, about plus 103. If you want to lay that with us right now, we're going to be doing that. But we'll break it down a little bit here.
For sure. It's at plus 105 on my bookie, so I guess mine is better, but it is what it is.
I mean, I could check all the books if you'd like, but that's an average of my plus 102 that I checked on DraftKings and what we can find elsewhere.
For sure.
Lay it right now if you're getting that plus 105 or higher.
Hey, it's a good parlay, man. I like it. Like, especially Guram, that's my pick there. I feel like even if he comes in as he did last time, he should easily be able to beat Fuzenic here, or however you say his name.
Yeah, so we'll get into that in a second here. Why do you kick us off with the main card for UFC Abu Dhabi?
We're starting with the main event of the evening, the Sandman, Corey Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Bro, Nurmagomedov doesn't need a nickname. The last name is already the nickname. You already know what's going on there, I like Umar, 17-0, a big bantamweight, good striker, better wrestler, grappling is good too. But man, against the number 2 contender in the world, he is a minus 300 favorite, bro. How is that even possible? I think the line is way off. Me personally, bro, I'm going Corey Sandhagen. He's had some ups and downs. People will probably tell me like, yeah, but the Aljamain Sterling fight, that was 4 years ago, bro. 4 years ago. Bilal was losing against Leon 3 years ago, and now he's dominating him. Corey is a whole different fighter. Corey is a better striker here. He's longer, he's taller, he has the much better striking. He has knees, he has his mind, he has his mindset as well, and he has Trevor Woodman in his corner, which, the striking will be at the next level now. He will probably add some better boxing there as well. So I'm going Corey. I'm going with him by decision. I don't see him finishing Umar. I see him getting into some iffy spots. He'll probably win 3 rounds to 2 of Umar. That's what I'll go with. But it's going to be close, but I'm running with the Sandman, Corey Sandhagen.
It looks like Miller's learned his lesson since the Bilal fight, but I think this has a very similar vibe to that one for me personally. Not only is the line off, like we said, the paths to victory are so there, but the one thing I mentioned last week was you're seeing the elite fighters with less than that 5 type of loss record well into the double digits. They're the kind of guys that are learning from their mistakes. So when you look at Sandhagen, you just brought up the Aljo fight, he's found himself in wrestling style matches, but it hasn't gone that far or that bad. The only critique I have for Sandman is the TJ Dillashaw fight, which on paper, I think he won. Sorry, I should actually say visually, I think he won the fight, but TJ knew to try and clinch with him the whole time, hoping to steal that pressure, that control, the thing that would get you a fight. Corey wins that fight in 2024. How about that? At the end of the day, he must have learned that his defense in that fight was just not the way to do it. Giving up your back and just laying against the fence just isn't it. And I think he's looked better since then. And like you said, the line is super wide. I will pick Corey as well in this fight. And for me, I just think the movement's there. I think he has to. I don't think he's going to worry about the striking as much. I think he's going to be a sound striker for this fight. And people probably see this going more like the Dustin Poirier-Khabib fight, right? Where it's like, despite how good the other fighter is, he's going to get him down. He's going to find a way to tap him out. And I just think that is a little bit of an overrated statement, especially in 2024 when these guys are just getting so much better. So for me, let's go with Corey. I'll also say by decision. And frankly, this is a must-take at this slide. It's kind of ridiculous.
For sure. One last thing I will add about this one is Umar is good, but he hasn't really looked that impressive to me, to be honest. Like, if we see his last fight, he got dropped there, so he can strike with a guy like Begzat Amal Khan. Then he won't be able to strike with Corey Sandhagen, let's be honest. Besides that, like, he beat Sergey Morozov, who has been finished multiple times and he's now not in the UFC. Brian Kelleher, terrible. Nate Maness, cut. Ohani Barcelos, not good. He hasn't really looked at.
Yeah, the resumes themselves, they speak for themselves, basically.
Yeah, but even in those fights, I feel like he didn't look as impressive as people make it out to be. So I'm going with Corey.
Yeah, totally agree. Let's move on to the co-main with Sara Bullet against Michal Oleksiejczuk. Who you got?
I mean, I think it's pretty clear. We get Sara Magomedov in our parlay. This is basically a different version of Michal Pereira versus Michal Oleksiejczuk, because this is a striker in Sara that throws a lot of kicks, is very powerful, has a lot of hype. While Michal is coming in there, he's thrown to the wolves. In Abu Dhabi, you know how it goes. Even if it goes to decision, you'll probably see Sara with his hand raised. So I'm going with Sara. I'll probably say by KO. Maybe, like you said, a kick to the body. I could see that happening there as well. But Magomedov is just a better striker. I feel like Michal is kind of a tricky opponent, though, if he really keeps on the pressure. But we've seen in his last few fights, he isn't as confident anymore, and he won't do it as much as he did before. And you have to understand, 4 months, he's lost twice in 4 months. I guess Pereira, he got subbed after getting hurt multiple times to the body. And then not even 2 months ago, it seemed like he broke his arm. So it's not looking good. I feel like this is just another chance for him. If he wouldn't take it, he will probably get cut. So he had to take this one, and Sara is locked in and ready to win.
Yep. So I'm gonna not only side with Sara here. I think the distance management's going to be key. I think that Michael's going to obviously be looking for that boxing range. And the thing with Bullet is he might even have those knees coming into the body. So it's like at distance, you got the leg kicks and the body kicks that are going to do some serious damage. And he is susceptible to body shots. And frankly, when he closes that distance to find his boxing range to land big shots, you're going to have you're going to have the knees, you're going to have the elbows all coming in. And I just think the body work might be the difference maker here. And let's just let the folks know that this is our lock of the week as well. The potential to finish at plus 100 is super high. So I just think at a line of let me just take a quick here, minus 250, perfect parlay piece. And frankly, at plus 100 to get the finish, I think that's a beautiful line. Super sane pick, as I like to say.
Yeah, it's plus 100 for the knockout, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him submitting anyone, so I feel like that's fair. Next up, Marlon Vera versus Deiveson Figueiredo. This is the featured fight on the main card. What are your thoughts on this one, brother?
I think that Figgy's looked really good in his come-up fight. I think that he's doing all the right things. I'm pretty sure he trained at like Khabib's camp in Abu Dhabi with Umar for like his time in Abu Dhabi right now. So I think he's going to have all the right tools here. But the big thing for me is where's Marlon the best at? I think he's got incredible defense. Good. Well, let's say not defense. He's got a great chin, and his offensive boxing and his striking has gotten so good over the years that I really think it can cause a problem for Figgy. And the big thing is when you think about it, Marlon actually came into the UFC as a grappler. If you look at his early fights, he was taking an absolute beating trying to find submissions, and now you're seeing him in these stand-up wars that people love. And I just think Figgy might not be built for a war with Cheeto, because I think it's a different animal compared to the Marinos of the world. So I'm going to side with the dog here as well. So many dogs on this card that I absolutely love, but give me Marlon, the more experienced fighter, should be the bigger guy. The speed might be a factor, but I just think volume and that chin, coupled with that, background in BJJ, able to defend and stay off the ground, I see Marlon coming out with the win here.
I'm going to be honest, I'll have to disagree here. I feel like Marlon Vera, this is a 3-round fight, and with Vera, he starts very slow. So we can already pretty confidently say that Deiveson will probably win the first round by just probably trying to grapple. And Marlon Vera needs to calculate some things or whatever, right? But I feel like when you're on your back, you're not really able to do so. And Deiveson, he has shown that he has good grappling, that he has good wrestling as well. He's taken down Cody Garbrandt, who has notoriously good takedown defense. He's taken down Rob Font, who I know in his fight against Corey, he showed terrible takedown defense, but since then he has become better. Deiveson, I feel like he is smart enough. He has a good camp around him to which he will look at the problems that Marlon has, and he will make sure to take advantage of them. Vera got taken down so many times by Sandhagen as well. Got even controlled by Jose Aldo, who never really does that to anybody. So you see that there's a hole there that he isn't getting finished, but he isn't able to get off his back or get some offense on there either. So I see Deiveson just winning 2 out of the 3 rounds and getting a decision. Will I bet him here? Probably not. Maybe I will bet him as by decision, which is at plus money. You're not finishing Marlon Vera, let's be honest. That's not happening. So at plus money, Deiveson by decision, I feel like that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I mean, not too much difference in length. I still like the size difference. And, Vera can be a little dangerous off his back. I just think at the dog money and for the style of fight that's going to be, the one area I do agree with you, which is why I think Figgy is the favorite. At almost minus 130 or so. I think it comes with the idea that the slow starting, the quickness, like there's a lot to be said for what Figgy can do well. So no huge disagreement here where I want to blow up and see, are you crazy? I think it's a pretty close fight based on the line, and obviously with us disagreeing, same thing. So should we hop in to the people's main event?
Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa. I feel like this is only a people's main event for T-Ferg. Nobody really cares about Michael Chiesa, no disrespect to him. Although I did like him, like when he was up there, when he was coming up before his fight against Vicente Luque. So He was a prospect at some point as well, but at this
He won
point,
the Ultimate Fighter, so like that's when I think there was a lot of promise. But in terms of the style, I think he didn't move with the times. His style
exactly.
just became really dated.
Exactly. 36 years of age, El Kakulu 40. Maverick, he opened up at around minus 350, minus 400, but now he's at minus 6, 700, which kind of, I guess, makes sense, but unbettable, in my opinion. I do think that he will win here. Tony is just washed, let's be honest. I don't really have a lot to say here.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones where it takes me back to looking into why a fight is being made. I think they're trying their best to give Tony the absolute biggest possibility without giving him someone nobody knows the chance to win a fight. Now, if you look at this line, I mean, plus 400 and higher, not exactly screaming um, chance to win on paper. But I think that the way you see Chiesa fight, the way he tires out, I think Ferguson finding that Darce choke late in the fight, that's the only way you're really coming away with the victory here. Maybe a close decision. I think that there's value on Tony. I'm not gonna lie to you. I still think there's value on Tony, especially when you look at who he's had to fight in that losing streak. If you did a little bit of MMA math, I mean, in reverse roles, Chiesa gets absolutely dusted, probably in worse shape in every single one of those fights. So I just think that based on the UFC trying their best to get Tony a dub here, stylistically, I think the line's a little wide, and I will probably be sprinkling on Tony to the point where it's hard for me to go with Chiesa because there isn't anything screaming off the page about Chiesa doing enough to win this fight. If you're picking Chiesa to win, chances are you're doing it based on lack of faith in Tony. So I'm going to go with Tony here. I'm going to give him the shot. Storyline wise, UFC matchmaking wise, just really trying to right the ship here. I'm going to give him the last shot possible because if he loses this, he's probably done, maybe retired, but I don't know what he does if he loses, to be honest with you, based on who he is as a person. But let's go ahead with the sprinkle on Tony Ferguson.
That makes sense. Chiesa, honestly, he hasn't fought for a long time. His comeback was against Kevin Holland, got finished there in round 1. Before that, lost to Sean Brady, lost to Luque. And yeah, before that, fought like the best opponent he had was Neil Magny. So,
I mean, we got Ferguson by sub at plus 1,500 right now. So if you are looking for a way to just have some fun during this fight, when Chiesa's lost what? I'm going to say at least 4 or 5 fights by sub. I know you were just looking at it. But the number of losses that he has in the UFC and the ratio to them being submissions is super high. So if you wanted a chance on Tony to find a finish, probably a sub in rounds 2 or 3, especially with how Chiesa fights, he always wants to get it to the ground, because I think he's actually in trouble on the feet. I don't think Chiesa's that great of a striker. At plus 1,500 on Tony, you can have some fun.
For sure. So let me see. He has been dorsed by Masvidal. He has been armbarred, triangle armbar by Pettis, dorsed by Luque, and dorsed by Holland. So 7 losses, 5 losses by submission.
And Tony loves that Darce, baby. At plus 1,500, I think we go take a chance.
The Darce Knight. I don't see it, but, at plus 1,500, it's worth a little stab. Next up, Mackenzie Dern versus Lupita Godinez. This is another dog that I really like with a huge if. If she doesn't decide to shoot takedowns herself, she should be able to win here. But like I said, huge if. Lupita Godinez seems to be just a bit, a bit of a meathead. 5'1", thick, big, muscular. She looks just like a female meathead, So she makes some of those decisions as well, which you think, like, why would you do this? She's trying to get submissions on Verna Jandiroba. Just stand up, bro. What are you doing? And Verna's looking really good. Beat Lemos very convincingly in the second round armbar. She couldn't do anything to Godinez, like submission-wise. Made it a close decision. So she is good. She has the skills. But you should not be grappling with Mackenzie Dern. I see Lupita winning here by a standing keeping it on the feet. She's 5'1" or 5'2", and she's muscular, so the takedown defense should be there. Dern can't really wrestle. I see Lupita winning by just a lousy fight, to be honest, by decision, keeping it on the feet, jabbing her face off.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to agree with you, and it's why we've made Loopy our dog of the week at plus 103. We like her that much, and the way Emil kind of explains it is we're going to have enough faith in her to win in all the right places. Now, the reason why I especially like this fight is you look at the people she's fought, the split decision win over Tabitha Ricci. I mean, Tabitha Ricci enjoys looking for the takedowns, and she didn't get taken down. You know, I think against fairly good wrestlers, she's looked the part. And unfortunately, Mackenzie Dern skipped the class where you have to learn the wrestling, but still acts like she's got those takedowns in her. And I just think that in this specific case, it's going to be way harder to get those takedowns. Loopy should have such a volume advantage where even, the Angela Hill win for Mackenzie Dern might look a little off. I think in all those areas where those types of fighters should have more success against Dern, Loopy should be able to do that. The boxing, being able to beat her up and tire her out, to not even be able to try and land those takedowns is how you beat her. I mean, she will force herself into a single leg so much, but the one way you've seen people take her out of that element is by really beating her, just tire her out. Like, you have to get her tired by that second, third round where it's so easy to defend those takedowns. And a smart fighter will realize in those moments when a fighter's that desperate for takedowns, you're probably doing something right on the feet. So even keeping that confidence that Loopy should notice those things and maybe not go for her own takedown or anything like that, it really should side with the fighter there. So let's give her IQ a little bit of a bump. Let's call her the dog of the week at plus 103. And let's say confidently that Loopy should get this done. Go Canada.
Yeah, I do have to say, though, I feel like the striking is much closer than people would suggest. I feel like Lupita, she's not a good striker. Mm-hmm. She's just a better striker than Mackenzie Dern.
Mm-hmm. Mackenzie gets sloppy. That's the problem. She's actually at the right camp. She's worked with Perillo for such a long time. She's worked on the boxing. She might look great in an Instagram reel. But when it comes to the fight, within 2 to 3 minutes of not finding success or getting tired, all of a sudden it's back to those big loopy shots. It's back to the ones where if you can punch straight up the middle and find that line, you can piece her up. We just have to have faith that Loopy stays in that disciplined boxing range and finds those straight shots for 3 rounds. Let's hope.
Exactly. Next up, Joel Álvarez versus Elves Brener. A very good one. I like this fight a lot. El Fenomeno Álvarez is, at this point, he's almost a minus 200 favorite, but he came in at minus 120. So a lot of love has come for him. Elves Brener is now at about plus 160, plus 170, which, in my opinion, it kind of makes sense. I feel like Joel Álvarez is the much better striker. He has much more power. He has the better chin. He has better kicks. He is more dangerous. And he's less hittable. Els Brener, bro, he has been hurt about 4 times in his fight against Miktikbek Oralbay. And Oralbay is not a striker. Oralbay, literally, the way he hurt him in the first minute, he went for a lousy type of flurry to then go right for the takedown. But one of those shots just connected so well, Miktikbek didn't even know. He just went to the legs the second it landed, but he could have had him out of there that instant. And before that, he fought Khrushchevsky, who was terrible. Before that, he fought Kutateladze, won in the 3rd round by being a dog, but he's been hurt at that point so many times as well. The chin is not there. The dog in him, the Charles Oliveira in him is there, but the chin is not. So he can wrestle, he can grapple, he can scramble, which I really like. He can defend submissions. So if he goes for the takedowns right away, the second the fight starts, I see him winning. But I feel like he's too much of a dog to do it. He will try something. He will try and keep it on the feet for a little bit and this and that will be his to his detriment.
Yeah, so I mean, I do agree in some of the areas where I like Álvarez is the length is there. He's a very technical guy on the feet. He's got a great BJJ background. And you look at the losses, right? It's Magulov, who I actually really loved on the come up scene. That's a debut loss. And he loses to Arman Sooky, who is the biggest title challenger we've seen in a little while here. So if you look at the one thing I'll say is if you're Elvis Brener and you do some tape study, there is a solid path to victory style wise for him when you look at that Arman tape. If you can avoid those submissions, avoid being in that lengthy situation on the feet and use the ground and pound, use some control time to really bust them up. He can definitely find a finish here. I think there's a serious path to victory where I will pick Álvarez to win this fight. I just think he's not bettable. I think the line's a little wide. I think that the path to victory that exists that we've seen in the past. Now, I'm not saying that Brener is the wrestler that Sooky is, but when you look at ways to beat a fighter and you're taking on a much taller, lengthier guy, I mean, I would hope that your game plan and that your training camp does revolve around the idea of controlling the top position and finding some elbows, finding some strikes, because you have to train in the way that you potentially see the fight going. And if you're training to stand with Álvarez for 3 rounds, I mean, even some lazy takedowns towards the end of the fight where you're tired and you're just trying to dogfight him, well, the more technical guy who's winning the fight might be able to land a submission there. Like, that's how good he's looked in the past. So it's just maybe even a live opportunity here if Elvis Brener comes out swinging and truly having a great success in the first round, but looks tired going into the second, maybe the third round. A live opportunity on Álvarez could really present itself if that first round goes to Elvis Brener. But I just think that stylistically, and like you just said, the amount of skills that he would need to learn to employ that game plan might be a little too much for especially how good Joel Álvarez is in all of those different positions we just said. So give me Álvarez as well, but very tough bet to make.
For sure. I am not betting the money line on Álvarez. I feel like that's way too wide at almost minus 200. Thing is, Brener is such a dog, man. He is such a dog. So you're always scared of Álvarez getting finished, but Álvarez has such a good chin. He has a very good ground game. The only time he has been finished was by Tsarukyan, but that was because of a cut. That was not because of him getting
Exactly.
Oh, he has been finished twice by a head kick in 2015. I won't count that, but I don't see Brener reaching the head of Álvarez even. So yeah, I will go with Álvarez, but Brener is a dog. Maybe I will look into Brener by decision here, because if he starts wrestling right away, it's his fight to lose. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I mean, even lines wise, they see this going to a decision. You got the plus 145 for the fight not to go the distance. So, I mean, they really see this as a dogfight. They really see this going to a decision. And frankly, I think as bettors, the best opportunity in a fight like this is to see how the first round goes and maybe check and see how they look if you get any value on either guy.
Yes, sir. So that was the entire main card. We'll go through the prelims as well real quick. Starting off with Alonzo Menifield versus Azamat Murzakanov. This is a tough fight for me personally. I will go with Azamat, but it's too close for me to bet him. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so I'm going to agree with you. And the only reason is, similar to what you were saying about a previous fight, I'm not exactly sure which one it was. Yeah, so most people siding with Chiesa would probably be doing that based on their lack of belief in Tony. And to be honest with you, we talk about IQ being the biggest difference maker in closer fights and in ones where you might have to find different ways to win. From what I saw from Menifield in that, oh my God, New Zealand fighter,
Albert.
From what I saw in his game plan against Albert was truly one of the most wildest things I've seen in recent memory. It was off-putting in some ways, like where you're fearful that guys are getting in there and maybe not being the most safest. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Azamat. I think he can have a game plan here that gets him the win.
Agreed. Next up, Mohamed Yahya versus Kawa Fernandez. I'm going with Fernandez. Just better overall, more athletic as well. Better ground game, better striking. Yahya just looks so bad against Peak. He got technically beat by peak. And if that's happening, you should honestly not be in the UFC.
Yeah, so I'm going to say the same thing. I think Fernandez is my lean here. I have no bet on this. It's actually, I think, on paper, the hardest fight to call just because if you don't really know what to expect. And Fernandez, it's just the later parts in the fight that make it a little tough for me to just say he's going to win the fight. But give me Fernandez, who should be the better fighter. Funny enough, Tapology has these guys ranked at 147 and 148 at lightweight. So that's how close they are in terms of global rankings, which is kind of funny to see. So I'm just going to go with Fernandez. But yeah, no bet for me, but definitely a fight I'm looking at lines.
Yeah, Gaziev versus Mays next. Minus 275 for Gaziev, plus 225 for Mays. I'm not looking into this fight betting wise, but
your favorite. It's your favorite. The heavyweight.
I'm going with Gaziev. He'll probably just get a lousy decision or maybe like a late TKO because of Mays tiring.
Yeah, I mean, Gaziev's the pick, but again, live bet-wise, I'm looking at Dontel Mays. If this fight gets real gritty and Gaziev looks super gassed by the end of the first, I think Mays could have some value as a live pick.
Agreed. Now, next up, this is a fight I really I'm looking out for. Kutateladze versus Vucenic. We got Kutateladze in our parlay. I really like him here, Georgian Viking. He is very good, very technically gifted, just good everywhere. I just see him winning here against Vucenic, probably by decision.
Yeah, so I really like the full camp for him. My biggest criticism for Garam is, you have these super gyms in the States. He really could have benefited from just getting more technical. He just seems super raw right now, even after this log in the UFC. But taking on a newcomer, it's really tough to see that. But yeah, give me Garam as a pick. Don't see much live value because I think Garam should be able to take this fight the whole time if it's a decision.
Agreed. Next up, Victoria Dudakova versus Sam Hughes. Dudakova is minus 200 favorite here. Doesn't really make sense to me. I will go with her to win, but it's just because she's younger, probably has a bit more hunger in her. Undefeated, whatever. I'll go with her probably by decision.
So I'm actually going to take Sam Hughes. This is going to be a value play for the most part. I just see this being a close girl fight. I think that Dudakova is just going to have a lot of bump based on the record. And when you look at the people they fought, I mean, it's comparable records. And Sam Hughes has even beat similar competition as her. Dudakova missed weight the last time she was out. I think Sam Hughes has the experience to win this fight. So give me her at a nice price.
So my pick is Dudakova, but I will probably add a Sam Hughes by decision ticket as well.
Love it.
Next up, Jay Herbert versus Rolando Bedoya. This is a underdog pick for me. I really like him, his volume, and just I feel like he's more of a dog. Jay Herbert is the type of guy that will try and fight technically, but Bedoya will not let that happen. He will use his volume to overwhelm Jay Herbert and potentially get a finish as well because Jay is pretty chinny.
Yeah, I absolutely love the pick. In fact, we were talking about this one probably the most. If you could talk about all the fights on the card, we've been on this fight for a little while, just really feeling that Bedoya is one of the better dogs on this card. Herbert's susceptible to finishes. And talk about these Peruvian fighters, man. These Peruvian fighters are absolute dogs. They make it a dog fight all the time and fight for your money, baby. So as we speak, I'm laying Bedoya. I think it's a great price at plus 115. I see the number going down with people watching more and more and getting up on that line where this fight could end up even come fight day. So give me Bedoya and let's get that line in now.
Oh, you're going to bet it right now?
Yes, sir.
What's the line right now? Plus 120?
You always seem to have a little bit better run. I got plus 115.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm in, baby. Done.
Perfect. Last or first fight on this card. Cedric Dumas versus Denis the Goat Tululen. I'll go with Dumas, I guess, but zero confidence. That's it. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, the way this fight, it could look really great for either guy, depending on how the first round goes. Probably some live line value on either guy as the fight progresses. But if Tululen gets out of that first round, I think he has a shot at winning this fight. You know what? Give me Dumas. I'll go with Dumas for now. But I mean, come fight day, I could change that pick because this fight's all over the place.
For sure. So our parlay is going to be Sara Magomedov versus and Guram Kutateladze. Lock of the week is going to be Sara Magomedov.
And take that finish line at plus 100. That could also lose some value.
For sure. And then our underdog of the week is Lupita Godinez. And a honorable mention as well is Rolando Bedoya.
Because you know we on that, boy.
For sure. For sure. So those it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave us a like, a comment, whatever. Share it. Send it to your friends. Thank you once again.
Look at our records. We know what we're doing out here.
For sure. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.